Kevin, can you hear me in there? Just making sure everything's working.
closest.
Personal. So I got a copy of the help wanted ads that I'll share with you. Just- I've been looking too, so. Video man, before you go live, can you come to the door, please?
I'm the video man.
All right, video man. Are you a spelling champion too?
Cole spelled that. We fixed it. It's oops.
Personnel
Yeah.
versus personal. I know we keep a lot of secrets here, but it's not that personal. Thank you.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah, we are. We are indeed. I would like to reconvene in open session under Wisconsin Statute Section 19.85, paren 2. Moving on to item 6H is consideration of Resolution 16-1-2068, amending the 2000
Approval?
Is there a
Second.
second discussion?
Mayor?
Yes, Alder Bussey?
Some of the, I guess, findings of fact that went into it were that the decision had been delayed due to the, my concern was why wasn't this addressed at the time of the budget? Delayed with the city administrator. Also, the prior city administrator served as the economic development director, and that by combining these positions, it's in effect a promotion. And those are two important elements in my decision.
That is correct. Alder Wood, anything you care to add?
No.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consideration, and again, that was for a 19-year contract. Is the other sub in that was?
That's what he said.
Item 6I, discussion and possible action on merit payments guidelines. I don't know if this requires a motion for, yeah, it would.
It is on only for discussion, not consideration, so you can just,
Okay, just discussion. So, as you know, or should know, that historically we have set aside and budgeted on an annual basis a pool of monies that were to go to be used for merit increases or rewards for non-represented staff. And through my own fault last year, I thought there was much more widespread feedback into the process than I learned was actually happening. And so I was somewhat disappointed in terms of how those merit awards were provided in the past. So I asked Mark Hodeker, in his role as interim city administrator, and then when April joined us as our city administrator, to come up with a more open, all-encompassing review process to work on the merit awards. And what you see before you is in part the outline and the bridge work that they have put together. And I have to admit, I commend them greatly that having gone through the packets this weekend, again, I'll go back to harping on staff. I'm so proud of the staff, the administration staff we have, that each of the administrators was asked to provide their input in written form on employees in terms of why they felt. And again, the guidelines I provided to April in this were, this is not to be considered part of an employment package or the raise structure. You know, we provide raises, hopefully, on an annual basis, but this is for work and effort and enthusiasm and anything and above and beyond the call of just coming and doing your job in a good way. So I said, they're not to be looked at as spread evenly throughout the city. It's to reward those who do exceptional service and effort and have done great things for the city. And I was pleased to see that was followed to the T. The challenge was there's more quality work being done than the dollars that were allocated to provide in terms of what all the recommendations were. So the scoring grid was one that then came back for April's final approval or prior approval before getting to me. And so some adjustments had to be made. But you'll see the criteria is how they're outlined and by department. And I would hope if there was ever a case of anyone who happens to receive one of these understands why and how, and also what the target is for coming years in terms of how you might be able to obtain a merit reward, because now the rules are much more clear. And again, I owe culpability for not having done this quite as well. It hasn't been done this way. It was a little bit more arbitrary. So I had asked that this be shared with you, so you understand the process going through, but I have approved my recommendations to April. And questions, discussions? Alder Bussey? And Alder Wood?
Doug, do you want to go first?
Alder Wood?
Let's see, a couple questions, I guess. One, with respect to the library employees, and maybe this is something for going forward that we put in, since obviously the board has control over the board's budget, and the employees below the director wouldn't be eligible for merit pay. Maybe that's something that we need to allocate a separate line item in the future for those employees as well, so that everybody is eligible.
Will someone please make note of that so we don't get a year from now and we're rehashing, so that there's something that in July, this summer, we remember to discuss. And that obviously the library board should be making a recommendation that.
Right, as to who gets it kind of thing. But
Well, and also just that, do they want it that way?
Right.
Because
Oh,
they
Participate
are
in it, yeah.
autonomous.
Yeah,
And I did speak to the director about that specifically, so.
okay, good. And then what is the process for getting a merit pay? And actually, before you get into that, these are one-time bonuses? They're not based building on the salary?
No.
Okay.
They are structured in terms of, as in item 6, the ranges, based
Right.
upon some broad job requirements, where the 3 ranges are.
But they don't build the base salary, they don't carry over to the next year.
No.
And then, so what is the process? Goes from the employee to their supervisor to April to the mayor?
No, it starts at the supervisor. It starts with
Okay.
the supervisor. This template was provided
Right.
to each of the
Oh, okay.
supervisors.
All right,
They then sent them to, I had asked Mark to, just because April had such a short time to get to know anyone, that Mark helped with that, and I think that indeed was the case. So she had a packet of, every employee was,
Basically, the step was, we sent an email out to the department heads to review your staff, recommend who you thought, and put down, based on your reasonings. And then it came back to me in April. We did, then I did the department heads, because since Pat was gone, and then I
Right.
kind of had that fill in. I did all the department heads, and I gave those to April. And then we sat down and we looked at it, and, we recommend what we thought it would be for each one, so
okay.
that was the process.
and I didn't make any I had questions as to some of the rationale behind, but those questions were all answered, so I had no reason to meddle with the process. I thought it was very well done and should hold up to any scrutiny. And I hope it's intended to help morale, and I'll be interested to hear from April and staff to see, you know, is that reflected, and not just assume that I'm going to get my merit raise, because not everyone received that.
Mm.
Oh, sorry. I think the biggest challenge is, you know, we do have so many good employees that, you know, we probably didn't give you know, as high of individual awards maybe as in the past. But, you know, one of the things that we did talk about is, you know, there was greater weight given to people that have had maybe what you'd call a special year. They had to fill in for somebody or take on special duties. That, you know, you wouldn't expect that would happen every year, but also a way to recognize somebody too that, you know, those employees that maybe aren't the superstars, but they're reliable, they're consistent, they're positive, they're part of the team.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Just to recognize that a little
Right.
bit as well, so. Because we can't operate it without the, you know, that too.
Right.
And finally, I like this because to me it rewards individuality and exceptional work, whereas when we do our 2.5% raises, those are important and needed, but
Mhm.
that is, everyone benefits from that, whereas I want those superstars to benefit a little bit more than others and continue to lead by example. So, good job. Yep, Alder Bussey.
Just on the proposed guidelines, some thoughts. Should there be a line in here that merit payments don't have to be given? It's not like you're obligated, if there's not exceptional performance in a year, there's none given. Or I don't know if that's understood or not, but and the other thing with the problem that April was just discussing, what if we eliminated the floor and just said up to? And that way, if you've got a year where you've got a number of people who have performed highly, you're going to be able to give potentially or recognize their performance more. Just something to chew on.
Another thing I was thinking about too is,
The floor idea.
you know, if you, you know, department heads are a category and, you know, police is a category, but, you know, it seemed a little difficult to me because some people or departments may only have 1 or 2 people to supervise, and, you know, that
Mhm.
made it a little tricky too. And actually, I looked at some samples and I didn't like much of what I saw, but one of the things is, you know, they said, no, you can't exceed a percentage of a person's salary, which I think kind of complicates it, and tying it to annual performance appraisals. But, you know, I think we get hung up on that a little bit too much. Sometimes people are always looking at those numbers, and I think that makes people unnecessarily nervous sometimes, and maybe that's more restrictive than what we need. So that's why I didn't draft it that way. So.
And again, I want to commend the department heads, and I don't know, you know, please stop by and visit April and take a look, but to the department, these weren't just a couple pen scratchings down, and I like Joe, you know, he's done
No.
a good job, he wasn't sick this year. You know, thought was given, and again, I go back to, we've got good administrators who hire good employees, and I think that's showing through all the way through, so. Okay,
Mhm.
all right, yeah, Alder Wood.
I do like Alder Bussey's idea of either not necessarily eliminating the floor, but lowering it so it's a broader range, so that gives the mayor and April more flexibility in the awards they give.
What would be the drawback in removing the floor in its entirety?
Well,
So it would
if it's,
just be
if you
a
say
range
0
up
to,
0
yeah.
to 500, 0 to 1,000, 0 to 7.
you're not gonna give a merit payment of 0 though. Right,
Not everybody gets a merit payment.
Yeah, there are some
Right,
zeros.
but- right,
There's a lot of zeros. All right.
yeah, sure, we could do it that way.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, again, thank you, staff, thank you, April, under a short time to, and hopefully this help your learning cycle that you get to see everyone.
Yeah,
and
yeah, definitely. I've never done merit before, so that was a good learning experience.
All right, moving on to item 7 is acceptance of the general fund accounts payable checks dated December 3rd through the 31st, 2015. Mark?
There's a lot, I think there's a lot of pages, 32 pages, a lot of them, this is end of the year, we basically told everybody to really get their invoices in for the year end, you know. It does, some of them do carry over, we have to put those accounts payable for year end, but, so we pushed them a little bit this year to get their stuff in, so there's a lot of stuff in here, just a lot of small stuff, and there's a lot of some overpayments in here too, you'll see for bills. Page 1, you know, we had Vanderwall's contract that we've been working on. Second page.
Just above that, the mileage payment?
Yes.
What's that about?
As part of the recruitment expense.
Oh, that was a candidate. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's what
Far
that
away.
from far away. Okay, thank you.
Page 2.
Just so this group knows, Vanderwall's agreement expired last week and will be before CDA for their input before it comes back, so.
Okay.
Page 2 is Bill Cole, that was just the month of October. I'm gonna jump around in here because there's, page 10, Reiner Fire Equipment. As you know, when the vehicles for the EMS or the ambulances or the fire trucks go in, it can be awfully expensive.
Is
Here's,
this the second one or the new one?
and this is the new one. The current
What
ambulance.
was wrong with it?
You know, we have tires, some of it's just like tires and just regular maintenance costs on here. A lot of it has to do with tires, though.
So there's no defects in it? It's
No.
Truly
Truly,
maintenance?
yes.
Okay. I didn't look at changing that word, because when I saw that, I thought, what the hell happened?
Page 11, Stonehaven Strand, a couple projects that are working for us right now. Page 12, W.E. Davies. These are part of the 2015 capital budget. They're doing some remodeling projects in the police department and the dispatch. They're winding up.
Are those done?
They are close to completion. A couple thousand left.
On budget?
Yes. Page 17, fire station outfitters. This was part of the approved capital. That's within the capital budget. We did on page 18. We did have some plumbing issues. HJ Pittsburgh Plumbing. We did have a lot of plumbing work that had to be done down the fire department showers. It was leaking all over. It basically was needed some major repair work in there. Page 19, MG&E. Here's our utility bill for the month. We'll have Brad will be coming back to one of these meetings once he gets the fourth quarters to talk about the solar and how much we're saving on that. So he'll give an update that as soon as we get the fourth quarter numbers. Trees on wheels, page 21. Park trees that just went in. They were part of the budget. Page 22, Angelo's Restaurant. The radio station volunteer appreciation dinner. What else do we have? Page 26, landmarks. As you're aware of, the fuel cost has gone down. So this is 1 month worth of fuel. When I first started here, the fuel cost, we started first with the landmarks, I think it was maybe probably 2 years ago, or it was around like $11,000 or $12,000 a month, so we are receiving huge savings in there.
We still use the same process. Everyone has a card and it's tracked by department and
Yep.
vehicle.
Now we're doing a report too, actually Lean's doing it, where she gets the monthly bills. She knows which car uses it, which card uses it, and she's tracking it now with gallons, how much car each gallon, or which vehicles you and how much gallons they're using, so we'll have detailed on that. Before they didn't put all that in there, now they do. So we're tracking that too now. Page 29, Roto-Rooter services. Just want to hit this one. Annual sewer televising. I don't know if you remember this. There was a claim against us, and we switched. And I think Bob Jacobs, Dan, were part of this, and this costs. We found some issues there. We're saved a ton of money for the sewer department.
Have we resolved that?
It's
Short-term memory, has that been resolved yet? No,
It's-
it's still in arbitration.
sort of arbitration. Well, we sent the letter back to them. I haven't heard, unless you've heard anything from McCain's. Yeah.
Is that cost, that is an annual cost that we do? Does it make sense for us to look into buying our own equipment, self-performing?
It's like 3 or 4 people doing that all the time.
Yep, go ahead.
I think with the switch to Roto-Rooter, we finally have the process in place that we've been looking for, and which is why we made the switch. We felt there were savings that could be had by making the program more efficient. I think you've seen the invoices where we've, I don't want to say cut it in half, but darn near in half.
It's a ton of money.
Right. To go out and buy our own equipment, I think one truck will cost around 230 grand. And then 2 to 3 guys to staff that.
Yeah.
And then televising, it's more efficient for us to hire it out.
Who does the review of the video?
Our staff does, our utility staff.
We are doing, they're not watching it and telling us.
We get a DVD packet and we get a written binder. We'll go through the written binder in winter to help determine what we need to address come spring and summertime.
And what department views that, though?
It's the utilities, the sewer,
Guys.
yeah. Yep. So,
They've done an excellent job with that, saving cost, and on top of,
But are we learning things? I mean, is it proving we don't need repairs, we do need repairs? How are we using the data?
the written report details what the guy who's logging the video, what he sees when we're making the DVD.
And that's a Roto-Rooter
Right.
employee?
Yep.
Okay.
So if there's a problem area identified in the written report, we'll pop in the DVD and look at it. We use that to help determine like local road reconstruction. When we do the engineering this year, we'll use all those tapes. They'll determine what needs to be replaced. If we can line, we look for maintenance areas such as where roots are coming through, where there's grease buildup. When we see that, those are areas that we target for more maintenance and more frequent monitoring. We tried gaining control over that in the past, and we weren't being cooperated with, and that's why we made the change. But it's working now.
What percentage of our infrastructure have we videoed?
We video 1/3 every year.
So
We-
by now, even with the deficiencies of the previous vendor, we must have done the whole city by now, at least once.
We've done 1/3 because we just made the change this past year.
Yeah, but we weren't getting anything out of the previous one?
Oh, we were,
Yeah.
right.
So out of, my question is have we videoed all of the city in the last 5 years?
Oh, definitely. We have one complete round every 3 years.
Okay.
So we do 1/3 of the system every year.
And what are we seeing with slip lining? Is it working?
That is something that I want to be doing more of. We have a lot of flat sewers in the city where the pipe necessarily isn't bad. Um, but I think lining it versus replacing it is a better option because the flow line's already set. So if you change something here, you got to change everything downstream. But there's more lining projects that I want to do in the next few years. And these written reports and the videos will help us determine that. So,
Okay.
And these lining compared to the sewer repair, we said, no, we've done it over years, it saved us a ton of money,
right.
sewer utility.
And the typical longevity of a slip line?
Same as if you put a new pipe in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Questions? Anything? Is there a motion for approval of the checks?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Checks have been approved. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Personnel and Finance is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna run home real quick.
With the new bathroom.
Yeah, right?
4th, 2016. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Spate,
Here.
Alder O'Connor. Here. Alder Holmquist,
Here.
Alder Thomas. Here. Alder Bussey,
Here.
Alder Wood,
Here.
Mayor Miller.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before you, I see we have been handed out a revised Obviously, we must have a correction, Joan?
The only revision, Mayor Miller, was a notation that Alder Thomas and Alder O'Connor did not vote for themselves to be election inspectors.
Such will. Anything else? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the minutes have been approved. There's no one here this evening for the appearances section. There's no public hearing. We have a consent agenda, approval of applications for 2015-16 operators licenses, and approval of applications for 2015 and 17 operators licenses. Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Licenses have been approved. Under item G, council action items, there is no unfinished business this evening. Under new business, item 2A, you will notice starred for immediate action is consideration of resolution 16-1-2063, authorizing the city of Monona to apply for a large-scale lake management planning grant from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, brought forth by the Public Works Director. Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Move to suspend the rules and take
Second.
this item out of order.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Move approval.
There's a motion for approval. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. Mr. Stefani.
Thank you, Mayor. In your packet, you have the resolution for the grant that we did apply for. The deadline for the grant was December 10th, 2015. We got our grant submitted on December 9th, 2015. We were made aware of this grant just a few days prior to the deadline, so this resolution being accepted is retroactive back to the December 10th deadline. We did inform the DNR that we would be getting this approval at tonight's meeting if you approve it. This relates to the engineering work that Strand is doing for us for the engineering on the PCBs that's at Winnequa Park. We were notified by the DNR midway through 2015 of an action plan that we have to come up with. We hired Strand to do that, and we have some expenses, so we thought this would be a good grant to help reimburse the city, I guess to help cover Strand's costs. So the grant prep cost was $3,500. We have Strand under contract for the first phase for $9,000, and we have about $2,300 for sampling to do. So we have to submit a site investigation report. That's after we do the sampling. After that, we have to submit a remedial action options report. That's to be determined yet. So part of the assistance from Strand will be dedicated to that report. That's not even completed yet. So what we're looking for is the approval for this resolution for the grant application. The DNR would reimburse us 67% of the city's cost. That would be up to $25,000 that we would get. Our share would be $12,313. So we have a good feeling that we will be getting awarded these funds. So.
Questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The resolution passes. Thank you, Dan. Item 2B is consideration of Resolution 16-1-2064, the purchase approval of one current model year, one-ton chassis cab brought forth by the Public Works Committee. I will note earlier this evening at Personnel and Finance, this motion passed. Mr. Stefani.
Thank you, Mayor. In your packet is a resolution and fiscal note to purchase a one-ton cab and chassis under the state contract. This request will also go to the January 6th Public Works Committee meeting and then come back to City Council for the mid-January meeting for approval. The purchase cost is $28,362 for a cab chassis purchased through the state contract from Ewald Automotive Group. The purchasing through the state contract, the State Department of Administration takes care of all the bid notices, the bid award, writing the specifications, pretty much everything. All we have to do is get the contract information from the state website and then contact one of the vendors. In this case, it's Ewald Automotive. Public Works has purchased vehicles from them before. The police department buys their squads from Ewald. So we do have a history buying through state contract and at Ewald. So this is just the first read here at council, so I'll be back mid-month with this.
Any questions of Mr. Stefani? Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Item C is consideration of Resolution 16-1-2065, the purchase approval of one current model year plow truck equipment package brought forth by the Public Works Committee. I will also note earlier this evening at Personnel and Finance, this item was tabled until further feedback from this body and the Public Works Committee. Dan?
Thank you, Mayor. Also in your packet is the proposal summary, resolution, fiscal note, and some data for the proposal request that we had. As the mayor mentioned, this was tabled at Finance. We will be taking this to the Public Works Committee this week, and then back here at the mid-month meeting in January for approval. This replaces a 1995 International dump truck and snowplow, and as I stated in my fiscal note, I'm actually seeking approval on the high-cost proposal provided by Lakeside International. The second place proposal came from Truck Country, which was about a $219 difference from the high-cost proposal, Lakeside International. V&H Trucks supplied the low price proposal for a Western Star truck. We're not seeking approval on that. For one, they didn't meet the specifications that were written for the bid. They supplied no explanations on the deviations, and I also included some comments from Lakeside International that explained some of the deviations from the Western Star model versus the International truck model. If you add up some of the bigger ticket items, it comes to over $8,000 that would have been added to the cost had they met the vehicle specifications. So that would have actually put that vehicle at a higher cost than the Lakeside International model. On the fiscal note, as you can see, we have approval for $183,000 in 2016. The total combined price for the vehicle that we would want to buy is $172,719.90. So we're over $10,000 below our budgeted amount. 5 of the 6 trucks that we have right now for plow trucks are the International model. We also do have 3 Freightliner trucks for our leaf collection trucks, so we have familiarity with both brands. We're seeking approval from council and seeking approval from the Public Works Committee for the Lakeside International model. Like I said, we have the familiarity. Our mechanic is familiar with maintaining those vehicles. And again, the V&H model did not meet the specification. So,
Alder Thomas?
I thought if they didn't meet the specs, we tossed them. That's what I always thought. If they don't meet the specs, they don't meet the specs, and we don't even consider them.
but it's still part of the proposal summary. I mean, I'm explaining
Right.
why we're not recommending that purchase, so.
Okay.
Further questions? Alder O'Connor.
I'm curious why finance and personnel.
Alder Bussey.
Yeah, the Truck Country and Lakeside, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, we've done business with both of them,
Right.
so they're an approved vendor. Truck Country met the specifications, and it's a lower price than Lakeside. So if I'm Truck Country and I supply the lowest bid and I'm not accepted, what motivation do I have to ever bid the city of Monona again? So my conversation at finance was iron that out at Public Works and figure out what the best recommendation would be. But if I were, for the limited information that we have here, and Public Works gets all
The big, yeah.
all the specs and everything. And if there's a reason for it, but with the limited information here, if I'm Truck Country, I'm upset and I have no desire to do business with Monona again. And I don't want that to happen. If they're qualified, they should get the work.
Right, and as Alderman Bussey mentioned, we do have experience with Freightliner, or I should say Truck Country, as well as Lakeside International. Going into the 2016 budget season, I was working with both representatives. We had specs on both models. We just chose to write the spec based off the Lakeside International model. The rough number going into budget season for the chassis was $103,000. So just by having this RFP, made everybody sharpen their pencil, and we've got some darn good prices on the chassis. But if the council and Public Works Committee wants us to go with Freightliner, we have no problems going with Freightliner. They're both good trucks.
Further questions? All right, thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Item D, you'll notice start for immediate action is consideration of Resolution 16-1-2066, authorizing the redemption of general obligation refunding bonds, dated February 15th, 2008, brought forth by the Finance Director. So motion suspend the rules.
Move to suspend the rules.
Second?
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
It's motion and second. I will note that this was approved at Personnel and Finance earlier this evening. Mark?
What this is back in 2008, TIF 2 did a refunding, so they were issued general obligation refunding bonds. The bonds are now callable as of this year, and the bonds would be paid off if we don't do this on 12/1/2016. So what this is that the bondholder says is callable, we can pay it off early, and we don't be paid off now they're callable, there's no penalty to pay it off. It's the last payment basically on this bond. It saves the city, the TIF number 2, $18,010. It's not a large amount, but it is savings, and that savings right now is used as a donor district to TIF 4 and TIF 5. So that's what the recommendation was, is to pay this off early to get a little bit of a savings of $18,000.
Questions of Mark? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Wood,
Aye.
Alder Spate,
Aye.
Alder O'Connor,
Aye.
Alder Holmquist,
Aye.
Alder Thomas.
Aye.
Alder Bussey.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Item E, you will note again, is start for immediate action is consideration of Resolution 16-1-2067, providing for the sale of $5,025,000 of general obligation promissory notes, Series 2016, brought forth by the Finance Director. This too was approved earlier this evening at Personnel and Finance. Is there a motion to suspend the rules, take this item out of order?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion for approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Mark?
Yes, there's two things involved in this. We're wrapping up in one loan.
And that's based on I'll get to a recommendation from our financial advisor, Jeff Belangi. The first part is to borrow for the capital projects. Back in November, we approved a $3.2 million capital budget. Of that, 2.9 is what we need to borrow for. We have other revenues for some portion, and some of it was the cable, or for the media, capital assets. So a portion of that's the 2.9 to get that going. The reason why we're doing this in January and we usually do it in March is because part of the capital budget process, we found there's some savings.
The time is now 7:45, and the library will be closing in 15 minutes.
There's some
Selections and bring them to the front for a checkout. Thank you.
There's some savings we can take advantage of if we pay up front, one's the fire truck, some other discounts with that. So that's why we're doing it right now. Usually it's usually March. And right now, as you're aware of some of the market stuff that's going on, this is the Feds are raising the rates a little bit. So this is a prime time for us to borrow. So that's 2.9. The other portion is back in 2008, we did borrow, and part of the capital projects was 3,925,000. In that, they had set up a balloon payment of $2,125,000, and that comes due in 2017. But that is now callable too, so there is some savings by doing this now. It's roughly about $30,000 we'll save in interest to do that. So you're going to wrap that into one larger loan, and with that, and do it together. Jeff Belangi stated this will get better interest, because of the larger dollar amounts. We get better buyers into the market. One of the biggest concerns I had with this was with the 2,000 was the refi amount. I didn't want him to come and say, well, let's refi this again. So it keeps on getting refied. And he guaranteed when I have emails with that he has structured so this will not have to be refied again. And so that would be paid off in full when it comes due. So that was his recommendation. And so this is a recommendation I'm bringing to you. And this is the authorization for Jeff to start negotiating with the bondholders. So he'll come back, if we get the approval tonight to start that negotiation, he'll come back at the next meeting. He'll give you what he negotiates. He'll go through that. We don't have to accept it if we don't want to, but I think every time since I've been here, we have accepted what he's given us. So that is the process that starts.
And the estimated savings you thought would be?
On
30,000, so between the two, $48,000
Yes.
in savings. Discussion, questions? Hearing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Bussey?
Aye.
Alder Wood?
Aye.
Alder Spate?
Aye.
Alder O'Connor?
Aye.
Alder Holmquist?
Aye.
Alder Thomas?
Resolution passes. Item F is consideration of Resolution 16-1-2069, ratifying the list of City of Monona landmark properties brought forth by the Landmarks Commission. Sonia?
I have two items from the Landmarks Commission tonight, and both of them were a result of an entire turnover of the Landmarks Commission membership occurring within the last couple of months. So there are 5 brand new members replacing members that had been on the commission since it began in 1975. So as part of this process of getting new members, we were reviewing all of the records that apply to the Landmarks Commission, and we found some question or just some lack of records for what exactly are our official City of Monona landmark properties. So we have been operating under the assumption that we do have these 24 official landmarks that are listed in Exhibit A of the resolution, and those have been adopted at different points, with some of the list being officially adopted by an action of the council in 1979, and then with the remaining ones being adopted in the comprehensive plan in 2004, and then also being published in 2 Landmarks Commission books. And we have also physically marked those sites with boulders and plaques that explain their historical significance. So we've definitely been operating under the assumption that those are our landmark properties, but to make sure that there is no question and that there's a comprehensive official record, we have this resolution ratifying these to make it a matter of record.
Questions? One, is Ernie's Trading Post landmark a twofer? Because that was also put in places during our 75th anniversary. Or
So
is that an additional landmark?
it's one count under City of Monona, and then what happened in the 75th anniversary was an additional marker by the Dane County Historical Society.
Okay. Any additional questions? Alder Bussey?
Are all of the owners of the properties listed here, are they aware of they're being designated a historic location?
Yes. And most of them have markers on their property also, so I think it's clear to them.
And are there any deed restrictions with being listed as a city landmark for remodeling or changes? Or?
I'm not aware of any deed restrictions. It's not a requirement of any of our codes, but there is a process associated with being a landmark property for any alterations.
Alder Bussey?
Well, the second item that Sonia's going to bring up, if anybody plans any improvements at the site, they have to go before the Landmarks Commission and the Plan Commission, and
God help them at Plan
whether
Commission.
the proposed work would detrimentally change, destroy, or adversely affect any architectural features. So if you're planning on selling to some condo and having it torn down, you're SOL. So there's not deed restrictions, but there's ordinances that.
Alder Thomas?
Yeah, didn't we, was it Monona Drive when we were doing the construction, that we ran into difficulties at Nichols?
There was, the only, and I just came across those papers recently, again, was with Nichols School. The question is what could be done, and that was 8 years ago perhaps, and there was nothing there that precluded anything from tearing down to selling to doing anything.
So you could take down,
They'd still have to go to I mean, you'd have to go through that process, but there was not something like there are on National Historic Landmark building where you can't touch a shingle without getting an approval. But if Plan Commission would allow Nichols School to be torn down, it could be torn down.
Which that's currently the process right now.
Right.
I mean, we've had people that show up to the Plan Commission that want to make an alteration to a building that's already deemed a landmark, and they come before the Plan Commission already for these types of recommendations about architectural characteristics, and are already approved. This first item is really just agreeing that this is the list of properties.
Right.
We're kind of getting ahead of the ballgame and going to
Okay.
the second item, where I think that's the piece about, is there a true process, which
Correct.
right now is unclear, and the second item is to help clarify that process.
Well, why don't we move on unless there's something more on the first item that someone wants to discuss? Why don't we move on to item G, which is consideration of ordinance 1-16-673, amending section 13-1-64 of the Code of Ordinances concerning historic conservation, brought forth by the Landmarks Commission. Sonia?
Thank you. So I'll first explain what the current ordinance is, and it's a very brief section, one paragraph, that guides historic conservation in the community. And what it does is triggers a review process when there's an application for a zoning permit or an occupancy permit, and at that time, the application is forwarded to the commission, which in this case is the Plan Commission, to make a determination of the effect that those improvements would have on the historic property. And when the Plan Commission makes that determination, they look at the 3 points under Section E, so they're the same in the new ordinance. So would it detrimentally change, destroy, or adversely affect any architectural feature? If it's new construction, is it going to be in harmony with the other landmarks on the site? And then 3, would the proposal significantly alter or destroy the historic characteristics of the landmark or landmark site? So currently, zoning or occupancy permit triggers the review process and it goes to Plan Commission. They make a determination regarding those 3 points. And then at that point, if they deem it necessary, they forward the application to City Council. And at that point, City Council has the option to pursue a strategy for acquisition or preservation, and that can range from anything preservation-wise of simply marking the site with a boulder, taking photos, doing oral histories and that sort of thing to full out acquisition by whatever means the city council determines appropriate. So that's the process today. It doesn't, in the end, require or prohibit a developer from doing anything or from a homeowner from demolishing it, but what it does is provide a process to get to that point where council can make a decision whether they should pursue acquisition or preservation. There are two substantive changes that the Landmarks Commission requested in the new ordinance. And the first is under section F, action on permit application. They've inserted that the permit application shall first be referred to the Landmarks Commission for consideration. So recognizing that the Landmarks Commission is charged with perpetuating local history and preserving our landmarks, they have certain expertise that would be beneficial to the Plan Commission as they make their determination. And so they've inserted that as a step in the process as an advisory recommendation. They don't have a final authority in the process. And then from there, the process continues as it does today with the Plan Commission reviewing those 1, 2, and 3 and forwarding it to council if they deem necessary. So also worth noting, today we often forward those applications to the Landmarks Commission anyway as a courtesy because it often can fall within the time frame of Plan Commission review, and the property owners are often agreeable to it. And they generally respect the role of the Landmarks Commission, at least that's what's been the case so far. The second addition was under section E, determination of effect on proposed use or improvement. So rather than triggering the process with just a zoning or an occupancy permit, we've inserted that the process would be triggered with a demolition permit, with the thought that you could be a homeowner and put an addition on your house, and that would need to go through this process with the city. But if you wanted to demolish the landmark, there would be no process. So it seemed a little counterintuitive, so that's been added. Those are the two main substantive changes. It still doesn't change the authority of the city at the end of the day. It still goes to council for consideration of acquisition or preservation. And the rest of the language, really, it's common in a lot of ordinances to have the purpose and intent section and the designation criteria. I don't think there's anything too controversial there. It's important to have designation criteria so you have objective measures when you're identifying landmarks. And also those were included in the original 1975 ordinance. Somehow along the way they were omitted. It's not clear why, but that information is added back in there.
So, going back to Nichols School, if the school district determined that they wanted to sell that building, theoretically, because they just put millions of dollars into it, so I don't think that's going to happen. But if they did, and a developer wanted to tear it down to put in housing, it would go through the normal processes and probably wouldn't be approved, but theoretically could be approved. There's nothing that stops the historic building from being torn down.
Right, this does not prohibit demolition or redevelopment from happening, but it gives it a process.
Alder Bussey?
I'm confused. What I'm reading here is D, reports, recommendations, and then the bold headline, determination of effect on proposed use or improvement. If an application for a zoning building demolition permit under this code invokes a landmark or landmark site designated by the Landmarks Commission, Plan Commission, the Plan Commission shall determine whether the proposed work would detrimentally change, destroy, or adversely affect any architectural feature of the environment. So if they determine it's going to destroy it, then what happens?
Then look down to section F, a little more than halfway through. It says, and after consideration.
Where's F? Oh, F. All right, it's real faded. Okay.
If after consideration of the purpose and intent of this section, after their determination made in section E, if the Plan Commission deems it appropriate, it shall refer the application to the Common Council for consideration of acquisition or preservation of the landmark or landmark site.
So acquisition means they either buy it or they
Pursue a preservation strategy, but it doesn't
allow you to
tie your hands as to what that means.
But it doesn't allow you to tear it down, does it?
It doesn't prohibit it, so you,
Yes, it does allow you. If somebody does, if this group does not come up with a strategy to stop it, yes, it can be torn down.
Sonia, is it correct that under the law, it would need to have like state or federal landmark protection in order for it to be prevented from being torn down?
yeah, I don't know all the details of those additional designations, but they're more.
Federal
yeah.
for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the only real teeth to absolutely
Right.
prevent it.
And it's very common for local ordinances to be like this, where there is no real teeth at the end of the day. This is pretty standard for other communities.
Alder Holmquist.
I think the intent here was to help ensure that when the Plan Commission is being charged with answering those 3 questions, that they have some advisory information from a group that takes this on as an area of interest or expertise to help advise that group when they're answering those questions. And so if it is someone with Nichols School and they want to tear it down, and the Plan Commission, based on the recommendation from the Landmarks Commission, can be, boy, that is something that we want to preserve, and this is why, it would be up to this body to help put together a plan to maybe look at some of the major historic value pieces of it and how that could be incorporated to work with that applicant, rather than just thumbs up, thumbs down kind of scenario.
Alder Thomas.
Is the decision of the Plan Commission appealable to the council?
So the only action that the Plan Commission is taking in this process is to make a determination. The only action is by council for an acquisition or preservation strategy. So the Plan Commission is not determining whether we'll save it or not.
So the council makes the decision?
Right.
And is that appealable?
Zoning Board of Appeals is our appeal body.
No, it's not. It's not for that. No.
I think that's something
Goes to
that
court.
I think that's something I flagged when we look at the new codification process, that we should take a look at our appeals process.
Well, normally, in the past, when the council has done something like license or other kinds of things, those kinds of appeals go to court.
Right, but there were some sections in there I just had some questions about, but
So at the end of the day, nothing's really changed in the actual end result of this ordinance
That's correct.
upgrade. It's a matter of clarification.
It does.
Has the attorney reviewed this,
Yes.
and he agrees with everything you're saying?
It does 2 things. It adds the Landmarks Commission as an advisory review committee, and it adds demolition permits as a trigger. It does not.
Right, I just wanted to say, Brian was correct that the primary reason we decided to do this on Landmark Commission is because obviously something like Nichols School, well, you know that that's significant, but some of these other sites, people may not realize, so I think the Landmarks Commission just wanted to be sure that we had some input, were able to give some input to the Plan Commission in case it didn't come to us as to, what the significance was, so that was taken into consideration. And that's why we asked to have the ordinance revised.
And landmarks, albeit their title is as what they were known as when they were historically important, it's by address is supersedes, like Morningside Sanatorium no longer exists, Ernie's Trading Post. It's the address in the building.
Right, so those are the landmark sites.
Sites.
So some are sites and some are structures.
Correct.
Right, Royal Airport, obviously. Life has moved on. Haven't been many planes landing. Haven't seen Lindbergh in months.
He was at that bar.
You go, yeah, that's right. Any additional questions? All right. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alders Holmquist and O'Connor. Item H is convening in closed session under Wisconsin statute, section 19.85, paren 1, paren C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. This is to discuss the change in title of the city planner's salary adjustment. Is there a motion to convene in closed session?
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion second. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Thomas.
Aye.
Alder Bussey.
Aye.
Alder Wood.
Aye.
Alder Spate.
Aye.
Alder O'Connor.
Aye.
Alder Holmquist.
Aye. Motion passes. We will reconvene in about 15 minutes or so. When does you have a key mark still?
Yes.
2016-1-2068, amending the 2016 operating budget to adjust the salary for the city planner brought forth by the city administrator. I will note this is still first read, so this item will be before this body at the next council meeting for final decision-making. Anyone that wanted to add anything? Alder Thomas?
I think this is more than, and we discussed it, it's more than adjusting the salary for the city planner. It is increasing the scope of work to include community development and therefore adjusting the salary to increase added responsibilities.
And defining the title even.
Right.
Yep. Thank you for that clarification. Anyone else? All right, we will be back at this in 2 weeks. Item H is reports of committees, commissions, boards, mayor, city administrator, city attorney, and department managers. Alder, Sonny, did you have anything you wanted to share? If you do, please come to the mic.
One item, I didn't get my report into the packet, so wanted to let you know that the comprehensive plan draft is done, and we've been working on this for about 2 years. So that's exciting. The entire document is in one place and ready to be reviewed, and I've emailed that to all of you and to the Plan Commission. There will be a public hearing at the January 25th Plan Commission meeting, and I'll do a little presentation at that meeting for the Plan Commission's information. And then there's a 30-day required comment period that will occur throughout February, and it will come to the council in March, and there will be another public hearing at the March meeting.
And it'll be a 2-reading process?
Yes.
All right, good news. Congratulations, I hope. Alder Holmquist.
No report.
Alder Thomas.
I have some issues with the snow, so I'm leaving on Thursday for Florida, and I will be returning on the 9th of February. So I will miss 2 meetings. But I read my email a lot, and I have my phone.
Alder Bussey.
No report, Mayor.
Alder O'Connor.
No report.
Alder Spate.
No report.
Alder Wood.
No report. A question I got, just to confirm, we're going to meet on January 19th next time?
As you know, it's generally it's Martin Luther King Day in 2 weeks from today, and it has been the desire of this body to cancel the meeting for that evening and move it to the next evening. There is a potential conflict that evening, probably not, but court is going to happen on Martin Luther King Day, and that occurs in here. So there's not a trial scheduled for that evening, which would drive the ending time later. So we will probably be okay, but it's just a what if. So is it the desire of this group to move it to Tuesday?
Well, I think it's actually the officially adopted policy.
By
of the
ordinance,
city.
we
Is
have
it?
to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. So when I asked about that, they didn't think it was an ordinance. Okay. So then we'll be Tuesday, and we don't have a conflict that night.
Right.
Anything else, Alderwood?
No.
City Clerk?
Mayor Miller, nomination papers are due in my office tomorrow by 5 o'clock. We do have 3 candidates for the 3 spots for alders. And one mayoral candidate, yeah.
Oh, that's
One
Alder Woods'
judge
position.
candidate, so we're set.
Super. City Administrator, Little.
Well, the first few weeks, I think I've met with all the department heads and took tours of all the facilities and parks to see what I can help with, and also talked about the university projects with staff, and did some work to start the recodification process so that we're ready to go by the end of February. And Sonia and I met with some developers and on some projects, basically waiting to hear back on all of those projects. We had some union negotiations. There is a grievance filed regarding the opt-out memorandum of understanding, but we're somewhat in a waiting process on those. I finalized the insurance paperwork to change over the property insurance to, what does MPIC stand for again? Municipal Property Insurance Company, something like that. And we did take another estimate from Houseman Insurance, but it was at a higher price. And I think that's it. Just other cosmetic things. Reformatted a little bit the department head reports. So if you have feedback on that, let me know. And also the code letters that go out. And I should be helping to tape my first little radio information spot tomorrow. So
Great.
excited about that. Hoping to use the radio to get some more information out, especially for new people like me, like where to park when it's snowing out. So these are things that are good to know.
That's good. Just two things. I want to extend a compliment. I wish Dan was still here, to city crews. I thought they once again did an exemplary job of, in spite of, I know of one disgruntled resident who made their unhappiness, but it's just there's no way of getting past the fact that the plow is going to leave snow on your apron. And depending what time the plow goes past your apron is when that snow will be there. And if it's 5 minutes after you've cleared your driveway, we apologize, but a wing plow cannot move snow from your apron. So, but I thought they did an excellent job, and today they were out doing some touch-ups and cleanup. So hats off to the city crew. And then importantly, I saw a brief post from the Parks and Recs department. I think you are allowed to skate on the lagoon now. There's 3 inches of ice. I was on the lake yesterday and it was wonderful, and it's really smooth, beautiful ice. But the park shelter, the Winnequa, the warming shelter, will not be open until there's 4 inches of ice, which probably will happen tonight because it was clear when I got here and it's cold out. So skating, I think, is semi-officially open on the lagoon. That's all I have. We have a singular appointment this evening. Joining the Distinguished Service Award Committee for a vacancy we have there, effective immediately.
Move approval. Second.
Is there a second? You
Who
want
was
to
the
recuse
first? I'm
yourself?
sorry, Brian.
To abstain as soon as you.
Pick one of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All those in favor of the appointment say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And Alder Thomas has recused herself. Congratulations. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Good luck with the non.
What was the name of that insurance?
Adam,